Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Before I begin our presentation, my name is Siti Sarah binti Chasiman, 1180744. Okay, for the definition of Sukuk, Sukuk are certificates of equivalue that represent undivided ownership or investment in assets based on Sharia principles and concepts approved by the Sharia Advisory Councils. In Islamic finance, a sukuk is a Sharia-compliant bond-like instrument. Bonds are indirect interest-bearing debt obligations, whereas sukuk involve a direct asset ownership interest. Next, for the authorities body of sukuk, there are two types of authorities body: Securities Commission Malaysia Act 1993 and Capital Markets and Services Act 2007. Next, there are four types of sukuk, which is categorized under two category types of structure and based on Sharia contract. First type of structure is asset-based sukuk and asset-backed sukuk. Meanwhile, for Sharia contract, exchangeable sukuk and hybrid sukuk.
Assalamualaikum and hi, I am Syazira Azwana binti Zuraimi 1180772. So I'll continue for the contribution of Sukuk during pandemic. Okay, Sukuk are categorized based on the numerous Islamic ways of financing employed related to underlying Sharia contracts, the types and nature of the underlying assets, as well as their commercial and technical features. So here we classify Sukuk into its technical and commercial features of Sukuk. So the first one is asset-based sukuk, also known as senior unsecured sukuk, in which beneficial ownership of asset is transferred to investors by originator or obligor. Meanwhile, asset-backed sukuk, also known as secured sukuk, in which the legal ownership of the asset is transferred from the originator or obligor to a third party.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Rini Atikah binti Zul Bahri 1180765. So I'm going to continue presenting about hybrid sukuk. Hybrid sukuk is a type of sukuk whose structure consists of two or more underlying contracts with both equity and debt elements. Apart from including tangible and intangible assets, it also offers both equity and beneficial ownership. On the other hand, exchangeable sukuk grants holders the right to exchange their sukuk for existing equity shares in a company other than the issuing entity at a future date. It also convertible into shares of a third party but restricted to a predetermined conversion ratio and subject to predetermined condition. Now, let's move to Sri Sukuk. Sustainable and responsible investment, SRI, is where the sukuk proceeds will be applied exclusively for funding of any activities or transaction relating to the eligible SRI projects. It is created mainly to smoothen the creation of ecosystem in which align with the sustainable and responsible investing for SRI investor as well as the issuers. SRI also facilitate the financing needs to meet the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals or SDGs. For example, all investors will be committed to investing in green, social and sustainable, and waqf properties or assets. Therefore, the reduction of greenhouse gas emission is highly emphasized to support the green projects in eligible SRI projects. Sri Sukuk is believed to be able to contribute to the recovery of post-COVID-19. Recent World Bank or IMF clarifying two strong elements are required for the recovery of post-COVID-19, which are: first, the financial system must be much more resilient to future shocks, and second, recovery has to be sustainable and green. For the purpose of meeting these two requirements, the bank has launched its debut of sustainability sukuk with AAA rated, raising $1.5 billion for the access to SME financing, socio-economic advancement, affordable housing, and etc. to ensure solid national finances in the future and meet sustainable and green recovery. To encourage the issuance of Sri Sukuk, the government will pursue the Green Technology Financing Scheme 3.0 to support the green projects in eligible SRI projects. This financing scheme is capable of finance external review expenditure amounting to 6 million ringgit, which is sourced from the expansion of income tax exemption. However, this grant is limited to 300,000 ringgit for 3 green sukuk and also for all 3 sukuk holders only. Consequently, ASEAN Green, Social and Sustainable Bond or Sukuk standards approved by the SC can be met. And second, 3 sukuk holders will be benefited from income tax exemption for 5 years to achieving their objective, namely achieve their UN SDGs.
The other example of contribution SRI Sukuk during pandemic is in response to the social effects of COVID-19 pandemic. Green bonds have mostly been used to fund renewable energy projects. Same goes to the green building financing, which also gaining support. This is one of the signs that indicates the growth of green Sukuk issuance in capital market. Besides, growing government incentives such as tax deductions on SRA Sukuk issuance expense and tax incentives could encourage Sukuk expansion during this hard situation. The next example is Leader Energy, which is an investment holding company, has received its first Asian Green Sustainable and Responsible Investment, which is SRA Sukuk, from HSBC Group through HSBC Amanah Malaysia Berhad. Last but not least, Bashar Al-Natur, who is the global head of Islamic finance, points out on how the issuers' use of the sukuk market for fundraising in the midst of COVID-19 pandemic situation. One of the examples is in June, the Republic of Indonesia priced a 3-tranche offering worth 2.5 billion US dollars, which included a green sukuk worth 750 million US dollars. Besides, Malaysian banks are likewise promoting a variety of environment, social and governance activities. And in addition, Cagamas Berhad remained operating during the first 4 weeks of the lockdown, and it's able to issue 1.8 billion ringgit in bonds and sukuk.
Hi, my name is Hanis binti Mohd Zainurin, metric number 1180751. I will talk about what is SDG and their purpose. First of all, what is SDG? SDG is a short form of the Sustainable Development Goals. SDG or Global Goals are a set of 17 interconnected global goals intended to serve as a blueprint for achieving a better and more sustainable future for all. In September 2015, the General Assembly adopted the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development that includes 17 Sustainable Development Goals. Building on the principle of leaving no one behind, the new agenda emphasized a holistic approach to achieving sustainable development for all. The 17 SDGs are integrated, in which they recognize that action in one area will affect outcomes in others, and that development must balance social, economic, and environmental sustainability. Countries have agreed to emphasize improvement for those who are the most underprivileged. The SDGs aim to eliminate poverty, hunger, AIDS, and gender discrimination against women and girls. The creativity, know-how, technology, and financial resources from all of society is necessary to achieve the SDGs in every context. Alright, so this is the 17 SDGs, which are no poverty, zero hunger, good health and well-being, quality education, and many more. I will continue with the purpose. First one, fostering experimentation and learning. Sustainable development is a political compromise agreed by countries with diverse or even conflicting interests that has yet to be translated into economic realities. The SDGs therefore need to make it happen by encouraging learning and experimentation processes given the lack of solution or receipts available to government. Number 2, meeting the challenges of coherence and implementation. SDGs must help to address at least 2 challenges, that of the implementation and that of the coherence of sustainable development policies in all countries regardless of their income levels.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Nurul Sahira binti Ismail with number matric 1180746. Next, I will explain about how the SDG relate to the Sukuk. Government of Malaysia hired Sustainalytics to review the Government of Malaysia SDG Sukuk framework. Sustainalytics believes the Malaysian government's SDG Sukuk framework is credible, effective, and conform with the Green Bond Principle 2018, Social Bond Principle 2020, and the Asian Sustainability Bond Standard 2018. Sustainalytics emphasizes the following component of the Malaysian government's SDG Sukuk framework. First component is use of proceeds. The government has set a 3-year look-back period for refinancing operation with the goal of achieving full allocation in the current financial year of SDG Sukuk issuance, which Sustainalytics believe in accordance with market practice. Second component is for project evaluation and selection. The Malaysian government have formed the SDG Sukuk Technical Committee, which will convene at least once a year to identify and assess eligible expenditure, gather impact reporting data, and make spending proposals. And third components, management of proceeds. The Government Development Fund will receive the net profit of Sukuk issued under the framework. Each SDG Sukuk will be included in the register together with its price date, maturity date, and a list of authorized expenditure. And last component is reporting. The government wants to publish annual report on the distribution of profit on its website until all funds have been allocated. Sustainalytics believe this procedure to be in accordance with market practice because of the commitment to both impact and allocation reporting. That's all from me. Thank you.
There are two sukuk that have been issued during a pandemic. Firstly is Wakaf Sukuk. Wakaf Sukuk, also called as cash wakaf link sukuk, are one type of sukuk that can be issued during a pandemic. In March 2020, the Indonesian government has issued cash wakaf link sukuk through a private placement for the first time. The 50 billion rupiah sukuk has a 5-year maturity and investment return of 6.15% coupon and discount. Secondly is Sukuk Prihatin. Prime Minister Tan Sri Muhyiddin Yassin and Finance Minister Tengku Zafrul Abdul Aziz introduced the much anticipated 500 million ringgit Sukuk Prihatin in August 2020. Sukuk Prihatin is a strategy for citizens to unite together and help the government's economic recovery by purchasing government-issued Islamic securities. Sukuk Prihatin is also structured as a commodity murabaha through tawarruk with a tenure of 2 years maturing on September 2022. The certificates also have an annual profit rate of 2% that will be paid to certificates holder on a quarterly basis, with the first profit payment on December 22 of 2020. Lastly, before I end our presentation, the conclusions and recommendations are: Sukuk eliminates the quantitative issue of COVID-19 by achieving corporate goals in a way that benefits society as a whole by combining Sukuk with other Islamic financing instruments such as Sukuk Ritakaful and Murabaha Sukuk. Next, the development investment of this Sukuk must be fit for the purpose of its issuance. And lastly, prospective and corrective initiative must be integrated, especially to reboot following the impact of COVID-19 on our country. That's all from us. Thank you.